So it's one thing to say, okay, great, I have 8,000 people. And if you were to, blast out to that 8,000 people, all the same thing all at once. Well, what if your messaging is a little bit off, right? And it's like, maybe we should.
So that's actually my next question, because I do have a list of like 500 contacts from LinkedIn, because I figured out how to do the LinkedIn helper thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's great. But then I sat down to write out some copy last night, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to say to them, what's going to capture their attention, what's even appropriate to say, because I don't want to be like spammy by any means. And so that would be my next question is like, copy.
So what I've learned is that less is more, right? When it comes to those styles of communication and how you get that list. And what I like to start with is I never go like robot, if that makes sense. Like I never want to go too robot too fast, right? Because I want to know what that conversation looks like. So to give you an example, I posted a job on LinkedIn, like a job post the other day. This is actually really, really interesting for you guys because this was a total like it was just the weirdest thing for me, because normally I post a job and I get a couple of people apply. And this kind of goes from like a messaging standpoint as well. What I'm seeing right now in marketing and everything is that people are just tired of all of the shit that's out there. They're just tired of all the same stuff. And these long job applications, these long posts, these things that like, it's really interesting because just a year ago or even pre-pandemic, it was like long form copy and long form pages and long, giving them value and long webinars and all sorts of stuff, right? Whereas now some of our clients will do a 15-second like Instagram reel that's just silly, like do like whatever, and then get like 8 new clients that day just from that silly little thing, right? And the same goes with our job post that I put up the other day. I just said really, really simply, let me grab it here. Okay, so here's the job post that I put up there. And it said, oh my gosh, where is it? Okay, there it is. Okay, I'm tired of all the fluffy job shit on LinkedIn. So here it goes, plain and simple. We're looking for a killer, someone who's extremely money motivated, who wants to make the company themselves a lot of cash. There's no cap on income. There's no breaks in this position. We don't have education requirements, just hard work. If that sounds like you, we should chat. If not, have a good day, right? But one of the things so what I did was, okay, so here's the post, right? We get some attention, or let's say that you start off, I started messaging them myself, like individually. So they apply and I just said, well, what interested you in this, right? And I just start asking some questions to a couple people and I see what the response was. Then I was like, oh, okay, I actually need to shift this around or change this a little bit. So then I go in and I grab it, and I'm keeping these questions. I always keep them open-ended, right? So I'm always like, I always want an answer that's like, how, what are your thoughts on, or leave them with a question. You just spitball a bunch of information and be like, are you interested? It's like, they're not quite there yet. And so it's asking a lot of questions in small little bites with these kind of conversations, especially with the studio owners. It's about how do you, maybe just kind of turning this on you, Chelsea, like, what do you think their biggest like pains are? Like, what do they need more than anything? And maybe you can narrow it down to a couple of different things, but.
What kind of studio?
Dance studios.
Yeah, dance studios.
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like it's probably different for everyone. But yeah, that could be something that I could probably sit down and do a whole bunch of market research on and figure out what.
Yeah, and you have, let's say you have 100 people that you've gotten off of LinkedIn so far?
500.
Okay, awesome. So this is what I would do. I would start by go in and message 5 of them. Just say, hey, I'm Chelsea. I was on Dancing with the Stars. I know you don't like to lead with that, but I think it's really important that you were on Dancing with the Stars, like you have credibility. And I'm launching a new business, and I was I was looking for a studio owner that could help me out. I have some questions, right? I'm curious if you could help me out. I'm trying to start this business, and I was wondering if you could answer a couple questions for me. Just see if they'll, and then if they respond to that, I'd be like, oh, absolutely. Like, what questions do you have? Like, well, I was just wondering what are some of the, as you're running a studio, I mean, we're starting a company, but what are the main, like, what are your top three, like, problems or the things that keep coming up for you in your studio? Is it keeping dancers there? Is it, paying the bills every month? Like, what is the kind of the pain point, right? And maybe just asking them, you can get that feedback. And if you can create that in a smaller case study and get that data, then when you start mass messaging and be like, we all know that the number one problem for studio owners is blank, because you've just asked, you've got a sample size of like, this is the one thing that keeps coming up over and over and over, right? Then you can start to speak to that.
I love that. I think my question would be, can we realistically provide an answer for any of that?
Can you provide an answer to those problems that they're having?
Or a solution?
Yeah. And I think that's where as a business owner, you're a multifaceted business, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of like depth to your coaching side to the physical products, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's a revenue issue, which could definitely come up, right? They want to make more money. They want to grow their business. Like, that's number one, that they're always going to have that problem that they want to be bigger and better and make more money, right? So number one is if you can come in and make their dance studio more exciting and create a better environment than any other dance studio in their town through your experiences and through what you have to offer from a coaching standpoint, boom, there's revenue, there's credibility, everything else. Like, throw on their website, like, we are a certified, whatever, inside out, like, studio, right? Like, create something like that they can feel like connected to that, and that you as the leader of this, I mean, this is your life, this is what you've built, that you have so much credibility to offer them. And then second is they can sell and get, you can, the whole product side, right? Selling your products there and making that as another stream of income for them, that you can provide the emails to send out to their whole list, right? And you can provide, you just kind of package, like, here's a marketing package for you guys to just promote this, like, for free, like, just send this out to people. Here, I'm going to send some free product. I'm going to do this, right? And you're going to give them what that looks like, do a giveaway for their studio, and create a space where they can create that, multiple streams of revenue coming in.
Okay. Yeah. And part of the partnership, part of the program is also like, we promote their studio. We give them discounts on all of our product for their whole studio for the year. We also give them discounts to our like catalog of ambassadors that we are going to have with the company. So.
Yeah. And I think that, so again, we reverse engineer this. Like, the answer is, the answer that I'm putting in your head, yes, you can solve these problems, right? 100%.
Yeah.
And so the question is like, how do you get there? Well, I think you'll be convinced when you start hearing what their problems actually are, and genuinely asking and wanting to know. Literally, you can go through that. We found that group one day that was like 12,000, studios. You start going through the posts that they're posting about, you could probably make a list of the problems that they have, right? By just what they're asking, how they're asking it. Like, they don't even know where to begin with stuff. Like, how do I get more people? Like, how do I, they love dance and they think that they should start a dance studio. They're not professional business people. Like, they don't really know that, right? So you got to really lean on the passion of, like, why did they start this in the first place, right? And maybe that's a question you can ask them. It's like, what made you want to start your studio? Like, tell me a little bit about your story, right? Or literally just say, if you start having that conversation a little bit over LinkedIn, just be like, do you have 10 minutes to chat real quick? Like, here's my cell number, what's yours?
Mm-hmm.
you drop your cell phone number right into the chat and say, what's your number? I can give you a call right now. Get on the phone with them and then start asking some of these other questions and just really just explore, just like what, like, you know, I want to help you, right? Like my goal is to help you. I'd love to provide any sort of value to you. And I really want to grow this company. I'm just really passionate about helping these young dancers. Here's my story really briefly. What does your studio struggle with? Or what do you think that something like what I have could provide to you guys? Let them do some of the work, right?
Yeah.
They'll tell you exactly what it is. And by that point, then you have 500 people and you send out then you start sending out sequences, like email sequences to all those people, text messages, like whatever kind of, you know, whatever you've been able to scrape from that, from LinkedIn. And you're just genuinely talking to them about the same things that you had in those phone conversations. It'll resonate. And then it's just a numbers game after that.
Okay.
So sounds like a lot of work, but message 5 people today, see if they respond, message 5 people tomorrow, and just keep messaging until you have a couple conversations over the phone to find out their pain points. That's it. Just worry about that.
And then I have also like people that I can easily reach out to who do own studios.
There you go. Yep,
that
that's perfect.
Would you just suggest to do that instead of?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Okay.
Yep.